Good afternoon again. It's Thomas, Archivist at Cornwall Record Office, a further session today of David's dazzling documents. Towards the end of our lives, we quite often think about what we want to happen to all our possessions and stuff, for want of a better word. And the Cornwall Record Office has a large collection of wills and probate records in its holding. On the table today, we have an example of a will and an inventory from the far west of Cornwall, taken in from the Deanery of St Buryan Court Records. So let's have a look and see what we can learn from these documents. On the left here, we've got a will. It's actually the will of 1695 relating to a gentleman called Thomas Lanyon, who's actually spelt his name as Lognon, and he's of the parish of St Buryan. He's a yeoman, so we know about his profession. And he says rather nicely, being sick in body, but of perfect mind and memory, have constituted and ordained this my last will and testament in manner and form as followeth. And then the bequests follow. So, for example, he leaves to his son, Richard Lognon of Sound Creed, 2 shillings and 6pence. That's about 12.5p, incidentally, at today's prices. And he has another son called David Lanyon, so he gets £60 £10, so that's £70. And he has another son called Thomas. My lands and tenements in the parish of Madern, in the county aforesaid, after my death, paying 2 years after my death £30 unto my executors hereafter named. It's a long will, but a lot of different bequests in it. He has a brother called Bernard Lanyon, my best woolen clothes within 12 months after his decease. And he has the son David also gets the second best pan, the cooking vessel, after his decease. So they're quite specific about the items that they leave. At the bottom right of the document, he couldn't actually write his signature. He drew a little circle, and then somebody else wrote his name for him, Thomas Lognon. And then over on the left here, we have the 3 witnesses, Peter Wallish, or the Wallaces, a good St Buryan name, and the sign of the mark of John Mitchell, and the sign of the mark of Dorothy Mitchell. So all these people get a mention. The will's in good condition, and it ends, I have set my hand and seal the 27th day of September, Anno Domini 1695. So it's a fairly typical and straightforward will. Quite often in the probate records certainly before about 1750, you have an inventory taken by the appraisers, as they were called, after the death of the individual. And they quite often list the contents of the house and what they were worth, and also sometimes other lands and tenements are named. So we have a true and perfect inventory of ye goods and chattels of Richard Treweek. This is a different person, of St Buryan, deceased 27th day of January 1683, taken the 2nd of August 1686. Took them a while to get round to dealing with this. And for example, imprimis, firstly, 6 old brass pans, valued at £2 10 shillings, 3 brass crocks, which were the cooking vessels in the kitchen of the house, 2 old silver spoons, 5 shillings, 2 old harrows, 2 old wheelbarrows, 7 shillings, and then 1 grinding stone, 5 cows, 4 small bullocks, 2 sucking calves, 4 small horses and 2 colts, 12 small sheep. And then further down, we get a list of people with various amounts written against him. Hugh Jones, Esquire, £10. People that actually owed Richard Treweek money, so it has to be included in the inventory of what he was worth after death. Tobias Perrow, Richard Harvey, other debts lying on account. It looks like potentially he was a sort of a mini money lender, if you like, who actually loaned out money to different people. In his chest in money, he's got £9, 15 shillings and 6pence in his chest in the house. And then, as the appraisers quite often did, they add on for goods forgotten, and they value them at 4pence. And the people who did this were Thomas Tresillian and Richard Harvey. And then you have a Latin sentence when it was examined and approved in the Archdeacon's probate court. All of them were done like this in Latin before 1734. While I had these documents out, I also noticed in the catalogue some of the hidden treasures of the Cornwall Record Office, if you like. So what do we have here? Well, St Buryan was a special jurisdiction probate court. Its wills were not proved in the courts of the Archdeaconry of Cornwall, as most of our wills were, some 60,000 of them. If you lived in St Buryan, St Leven or Senan, your wills were proved in the probate court of the Deanery of St Buryan. And the Deanery of St Buryan was an organisation set up in effect by King Athelstan in the seal of the Deanery of St Buryan, dating from 1717, made for John Harris, who was the dean at that time. So we have the original seal with King Athelstan's picture, and we also have a matrix of the seal with a version of what it looks like in Latin when it's actually struck on some nice red wax. A little hidden treasure talking and illustrating about Cornwall's hidden probate history and sometimes the things that you can find amongst other documents. Join us again next time for some more dazzling documents. We hope you enjoyed it.